Welcome to Small Talk with Kenya and Dawn. I'm Dawn.
And I'm Kenya.
So today we are here. We are going to kind of circle back and we're going to talk about the ungodly woman today, which we discussed previously, the ungodly man. But since I did hear a little bit about that one, we just wanted to make sure that we come back and that we discuss the ungodly woman. We want to make sure that everything is fair on both sides so that nobody feels offended, but we are going to discuss an ungodly woman today. So Kenya, we've had a little time to think about this. And when you think of an ungodly woman, what are some of the characteristics that come to mind for you?
Manipulative.
Ooh, okay.
That's a big one for me.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, people who've been doing it for a while, they get people caught up in their web, and it's hard for the person to know they're being manipulated.
Wow.
Because that person or woman does it so well. Yeah.
That's a great point that you brought out. When you think about manipulation, and it's not just a word that we use that we can throw around lightly.
No.
Because when you are manipulating someone, to me that is very deceptive.
Yes, very.
And it's not just to necessarily project your opinion onto another person, but you are actually trying to deceive that person and make them believe something that may not be something necessarily that they do believe, but to try to swing it around so it's your way. Yeah. And it may not always be the right way.
Absolutely.
So that's something that I have an issue with, is something with manipulation. Yeah. I'm not a fan of it. I don't use manipulation tactics in that way. Yeah. Especially when it's something to be hurtful towards someone. And I think that's what a lot of times manipulation is. When I also think of manipulation, just using this word, and we could probably go, I don't know, a week talking about this word, but I also think of selfishness.
Yeah, very much so.
I think of selfishness because it's very self-serving.
Very.
It's not for the other person, it's for you.
The agenda of that person.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So what's something else you think about?
I guess deceit and lying kind of falls up under that manipulation. But the other one that is coming to mind, and I want to say this the best way possible. Let me just switch. I'm going to say lazy in the responsibility. Oh. Lazy in the responsibility. Yeah. And, we can throw out scripture, the word say, a man that don't work, don't eat. But a father has a role and a mother has a role. Correct. And when you are lazy in that role, there's a lot of things that get, I don't want to say swept under the rug, but there are a lot of things that are missed. And we have a responsibility because God says that our children are a blessing. Correct. And we have to take care of them. But we sometimes wear a lot of hats, but we have to make sure we're prioritizing the hats we have on. Right. So we're not lazy in our responsibility, because being lazy in our responsibility causes other things to happen and other consequences. And I mean, it really can cause direct things to happen within your house. That's what I was going to say. When I think of laziness, slothful, we just talked about this. That's the word I wanted to use. I'm going to use it. When I think about those things, and I'm just going to say an ungodly woman that has children, what are you teaching your children to be? You're going to raise unproductive, lazy children, slothful children, children don't have any real ambition about them, thinking that it's okay, that you can just be so relaxed and, everything is just so passive and, hey, let somebody else do it. And somebody owes you something. Somebody owes you something. And nobody really owes us anything. Yep. But when I also think about that and just moving into the church, and in our outside, in our home life, in our work life, all of those things, every aspect of us, we're not doing things for God. Right. Which is really what we should be, what we should be doing. We should be allowing God to be shown through us
through our work, through our home, through our children, but we're passing those things off to our families, and that's not a good thing to do. You're setting your kids up for failure.
And to allow them to lose respect for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And not to say that all the role is on the mother.
Right.
But as the mother, I feel like our responsibility is different from what the father's responsibility is.
Correct.
And I often think about this. Our children, we know them before they really know us. They start to form and we automatically bond with them. We automatically start feeling things with them.
Right.
And I just think as a mother, we have such a great responsibility, and we can't say what our children are going to do, but we play a major part in who they're going to become. And I think we just have to be a little bit more careful with that. And with people or women being selfish in that, you're leaving things open. You're slacking off, causing or allowing things to happen more frequently.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I just think it's important we set the example.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Set the example for your children.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to set the example for your husband.
Absolutely.
But if you are ungodly, the whole house can be messed up.
In chaos.
Yeah, it can be in chaos. There's no structure.
No.
There's no structure. With laziness, the only structure that you have is going to continue to be lazy.
Be lazy. And it's somewhere, and it always baffles me because I'm trying to understand, how do you think that it's okay? Because I always, when I explain this to my children, I look at them and I say, you know, you were once little. I was looking down at you. You depended on me. But as you came eye to eye with me, I had a level of responsibility to teach you to help meet me halfway. I don't need you to meet me the whole way, but I need you to at least be progressing. And one day, you're going to be a person out in society, and what are you contributing to society? Exactly.
You know, and I got to say this because we can't control everything that our children do.
Oh, absolutely not.
But I'm going to tell you, I was at a store the other day. And I came out the store, and I think I had just gotten off from work. Came out the store, getting in my car, and there was a group of young ladies that were walking. And they looked like they were 18 and under. And they also had 2 little babies with them. And I think it was maybe 4 young women and the 2 toddlers. All of them had on pajamas.
That burns me up.
And I'm thinking to myself, where did you learn this from? And who is saying it's okay for you all to come out like this? But then I thought back, I've seen grown women come out in pajamas. And it bothered me so, because as women, we should be carrying ourselves to look more respectable and not coming out with our pajamas on and these little shorts that's riding up. We should not be doing that. But you see grown women that are doing it. And it bugs me. And a lot of people may say, well, she could be a godly woman. Is she?
Because you have to present yourself. And not to say, we don't have to have on a church hat and all of that.
Exactly.
But we have to respect ourselves enough to cover what God, we have to remember who we belong to. And would God be pleased with us being dressed that way?
No.
Because there's nothing wrong with covering yourself up. You don't have to, you don't have to go overboard.
No.
But just learn what being respectful is.
Exactly. That's it. Oh, it just irritates me so
that
bad when I see that. It's the appropriate place to wear your pajamas is in your house, not out in public. Don't do that. And then you've got these other little children that are seeing these things, and they're going to think that this kind of stuff is okay. And that's why I was wondering, like, who taught y'all this? Like, where did this come from? And it's got to come from the home.
And who has allowed it to be okay? And the reason I say that is my youngest daughter, she got ready to go the other night to go through the drive-thru. And she had put her bonnet on. And she saw me looking at her, and she said, "Ma, I gotta take my bonnet off. I'm not gonna even get out the car." I said, "Absolutely, you do, because that is attire for the house." And that's the thing. It goes back to the laziness, because we have to be trained in a way in the way that we go and function in the world. It has to become habit. And if we don't make it habit, it's easy for me to wake up and just go about my day in the way that I do. If there was not structure and habit that I followed all of my life. And we sometimes, people will say, "Oh, you're doing too much." But are we though? Are we? Because I don't have to allow you to set the standard of what it's supposed to be, especially when it's disrespectful.
Now I'm going to tell you, I'm a big advocate of sweats. I love sweatsuits, jogging suits, all of those things. You'll see me with hoodies on at any time. And I'm okay with going to the store with those things on, because that is clothing. It is called outerwear. It is not called pajamas and bedroom attire. No, I'm not saying that you have to be dressed up, makeup done, hair done, all of that kind of stuff, because there's plenty of times where I will throw on a baseball cap and a hoodie in a minute and go to the store if that's what I need to do. But I mean, I'm running errands or whatever. But it's just being appropriate. Don't be so lazy to not make sure that your appearance is decent when you walk out the door.
And that's another characteristic of that ungodly woman. If you see a young woman who may not even know that there's anything wrong with it, and you are not godly enough to pull her to the side to help her to understand that you're worth more than that.
That's right.
Then I think that goes back, and I don't want to use that Jezebel spirit because it can apply to a man or a woman.
It can.
But it just reminds me so much of that Jezebel spirit, where we just want to keep leading people in the wrong direction.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Woo, okay. What else you got? I know, because I know this was heavy on you. So what else? What's another characteristic?
I'm gonna say, I guess it all kind of ties together, but just being blatant disobedient. When we know, and what I'm saying is in the way of Christ. When we know we should, that the word said we need to bring our children, don't fail to assemble ourselves. I feel like we have a responsibility to give that first introduction to Jesus to our children. I think we should be able to do that.
Absolutely.
So even doing things outside of your norm, I think being able, let me just go back a little bit. I think we have to remember the way that we're supposed to do it. But we have to also understand and care in the way that we're doing it. Because being disobedient, I'm going to do whatever I want to do.
Correct.
I'm not going to have anything that's stopping me from doing whatever I want to do. But there's an order to things, and there's a way to things. But in that disobedience, to me, it leads right back to that manipulation and that Jezebel. So I can keep you under control, and the person that you're controlling have no idea that you're controlling them. But then it takes me to the mindset of the person that's actually doing the act. What are you looking to gain from that? And how long do you think this is going to work for you?
It's not going to work long.
It's not going to work long. Because there's so many, and the reason I went there is because inadvertently you're leading your children away from Christ. You're leaving them open for the enemy to get them and snatch them right back into the world when we do that. And I just think that's important to see, because it could have been at one time in my life I was that person.
Right.
But when we don't know, we're liable to do a whole lot of things that just does not make sense to the average person that's trying to walk in the way of Christ.
Right.
But we have to be responsible for everybody in that way. So I think we just have another responsibility from that perspective as well.
With obedience, and what I'm saying with when I think about the obedience factor, it is doing what the word is telling me to do. I can't do things my way.
Absolutely.
I can't do things necessarily your way. I can't do it my parents' way.
Right.
I have to do it God's way. And even the word says it's better to be obedient than it is to sacrifice. So that just tells me how important it is to God for you to follow his commandments, to follow the rules, the things that he has set in place for us to do.
Yeah.
When we do those things, I really believe wholeheartedly that our household functions a lot better.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's not to say that you're not going to have issues and problems in your house, but I believe it sets you on the proper course. Follow what the word is telling you to do.
Yeah.
Be obedient in that factor. And you think about it, because you can't go to work and do whatever you feel like doing at work.
Absolutely not.
Because guess what? You're going to be sitting at home.
Yep.
You're going to be on the couch. You're going to be at the McDonald's with the retired people having coffee in the morning. That's where you're going to be at. You don't just get to do whatever you want to do, and there are no consequences.
Never.
But when I think about a godly woman, that's one of the first things that she's thinking about, or what are the consequences to the action?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Have you ever been around somebody that just feels like there's no consequences to their actions?
Oh, yes. 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 But, and I just had a conversation today about that same very thing, about, and this particular person that I was thinking about when I was talking to this young lady always wants to represent, I'm a Christian. But at every turn, your actions show something different. And I always go back to Christ had compassion for whatever type of person he came in contact with. He didn't come in judging, he showed compassion. And you can't have a general conversation without stepping outside, losing it, and just being ignorant. I mean, let's just call it what it is.
Call it what it is.
Just being ignorant.
Call it what it is.
Without even realizing that it's not just the person you may be talking to or doing that to. There are other people watching. And now I am so conscious of, I always think about just being so apologetic, because every day I wake up, there's a great possibility I'm going to mess up. So I like to stay in the vicinity of people who will say, Kenya, you could have did that better. Because if not, that becomes my habit, that becomes part of my vocabulary. So now every day I'm doing it in the norm. So we have to be careful with that as well. Even the ungodly woman, I'm acting however I want to act. I want to lead people away from Christ.
Absolutely.
I want to keep people away from the very thing that will save their life. So even in that aspect, we just really have to be careful with the representation that we're exposing to people.
Yeah, because the wrong thing, and we've said it here before, you can completely throw somebody off. Whole course is just shot. It's like it just completely just blew up.
Yeah.
And that's not what we should be wanting to do.
No.
We should be wanting to create the atmosphere that is welcoming. That, we're saying, hey, it may not always be easy and it may not always feel good, but it's necessary to be obedient to what God is telling us to do.
Yeah.
I just think personally, things just go a lot smoother. Not to say, like I said, we're not going to have hiccups and things are not, stuff is just, hey, it's just not going to happen to me because, hey, I believe in God. Life is going to be life, and life is going to continue on, and problems are going to erupt. And I also think that if you are not having some issues in your life, Satan might already have you.
Yeah.
Because things are coming at you left and right, but it's the way that you handle things. And the way that you handle those things, a godly woman is going to turn it over to God.
And the flip side of that is those things are necessary. It says our perseverance will produce perfect works. And if we're never going through anything, how are we even growing if we're not going? If we don't have something challenging and giving us a challenge, or if we don't have something that's testing us real hard to see whether or not we're going to break, how are we growing? we are still going to be stagnant in that area where we are. And all the enemy wants you to do is just get comfortable right here.
That's right.
I'm comfortable manipulating other people to do whatever I want them to do. I'm comfortable doing that. And while I may feel like it's easy for me, I got some consequences coming. And I have to say this. My grandmother used to say something, and it just, initially it went over my head. But as I got older and started seeing it, she used to say, the stripes the Lord put on you, Clorox won't be able to take them off. And I was like, I don't know, what does that mean? But going through life, seeing these things that people do, thinking there's no consequences to what you do. I don't care how many times you got away with it. Living witness. I don't care how many times I got away with it. Eventually, them stripes and that Clorox met. And I had to stand and just repent and beg and plead, God, please forgive me. Because sometimes we don't understand the level. We sure don't. We don't understand the level as to where we're operating from. And we just got to be real careful with it. And I know some people may get offended, but we have to be, I always tell my children, I love you enough to tell you the truth, to make you mad right now, because later you're thanking me. And that's exactly how I feel about this, because it has been so misconstrued. Even the example you gave with the young women with pajamas, that's not a trend. That is teaching a young woman, you can just dress however you want to dress. Your worth is not even worthy. I mean, it don't matter who looks at it. I mean, we have to do better. Yeah. We really do.
And let me say this, because it's not appealing.
It's not.
It's not cute.
It's not.
It's not. And you never know who your future employer could possibly be.
That part.
Because there's no way in the world that those young women could come to my office and ask me for a job.
And that has become the normal attitude. I can do this, and I'm expecting you to hire me. I'm expecting you to give me a raise. I'm expecting, without putting in any work.
Yeah. And some people may view that as, oh, she's discriminating against me.
No.
You've already prejudged me. I'm looking at what you've already shown me. And I'm looking at the professionalism outside, because like I said, you can go out with your sweats on and hat and everything, you know, and that's fine, tennis shoes or whatever, but I'm also looking at how you are presenting yourself when you come out. Do you feel it deemed necessary to cover yourself properly? Or are you just going to walk out, don't care how you look? Because if you don't care how you look, are you going to care about how you do your job?
Absolutely. And you know, you just made me think of something. And that is another one of those, it's not a characteristic of an ungodly woman, but it goes back to that responsibility of a godly woman. When we see young women, or however, let's just say we're in church and you come with the short skirt and a crop top and wow, that may be all you have. I still have a responsibility to pull you to the side, to make sure that I am compassionate with you, to say, sweetie, you know, if this is all you have, the Lord say, come as you are. Let me help you. Tell me your size. Let me get something for you. Let me tell you a better way to do this. We have a responsibility, and I know we're talking about ungodly women, but not taking heed to take that step to do that is another ungodly characteristic.
Absolutely. Would it be then maybe safe to say that not pulling that person aside, not pulling that young lady aside, or even a young man aside, if his little pants is sagging below his bottom, would it be then ungodly for us not to say those things to them?
Absolutely.
And like you said, we have a responsibility to do that. And what we're saying is, in this instance, is we got to build these children up.
Right. And in that way, if we grab them then, we won't see them 18 years old at the store Because we have to remember too, sometimes we're a product of our environment. And if that's all I see, that's my norm. You can't tell me any different.
No.
Sometimes we have to help our children see the possibility of how great the world is, or how great the world can be. So we have a responsibility in that area too. And too many times I think, and I get why people are reluctant to do it, because sometimes people don't want you to say anything to their children. But at what point do we allow people to help? And I'm careful with this village, because I don't let everybody be the village for my children. But when I know I have God-fearing people around me, let's help build that village, because it could be just my ignorance. I may not know. But if you come and help me understand, or say, well, even if I said to you, well, this is all I have, I'm sure you'll say, well, I've seen you do it. What size do you wear? Let me get something for you that's appropriate. Because we can do this differently. And it's okay to do it differently.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're going to pause here. We got a lot that we're going to talk about with the ungodly woman. We've just kind of scratched the surface. But please like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. And I also just want to let everybody know that we have Sunday school lessons that we have on YouTube by Minister Hairston and also by Minister Butts. And those are great lessons that they do every single week from Union Gospel Press, I think. And I can't remember the other one. I don't remember what it is, but we have great lessons that are on there. And even if you're interested, we do have a monthly women's discussion that we call Women Talk. And we talk about a lot of different things that are on there. And we also have Man Talk for the men that are on there, that is also led by Minister Butts. So if you're interested in any of those things, go to our website, jordanchristiancenter.com, and you'll be able to navigate and find those things there. But again, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so that you know when Small Talk with Kenya and Dawn premieres, which is every Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. So until then, have a great day.